Thanks so much for joining us on a Monday. I'm Marlon Bowling with you as we watch your ag commodity trade. Let's go to the phone and talk with SteveGeorgey of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. And Steve, I don't get to talk with you all that often. Good to have you with us as we take a look at our grain trade in this segment. I have in my hands, right off the press, some brand new numbers. Are still warm here, Steve. It's the grain export inspections. I wanted to take a look at these numbers here just to get your thoughts on this, if they mean anything at all. So on the corn, we have a total this week of 676,000 tons. That compares to last week when it was the very same number, basically, just give or take a pickup load. A year ago at this time, it was 1.29 million, or basically 1.3 million. So down about half of what it was a year ago at this time. Sorghum, 66,399 this time, was a little bit above last week's 51,000. Soybeans, 928,000 compared to last week's 1.11 million. And a year ago, that number was 761,000. Wheat, 464,375. Last week was 508,855, and a year ago that number 574,200. So down from a week ago and a year ago on the wheat. Do these numbers mean anything to the trade here at all, Steve?
You know, it does, but I think the big thing that you're seeing, and a lot of questions I'm getting today, is we got corn that's down, wheat that's down, but beans are still rallying. We're up 5 cents right now for November beans, but the big thing is that as we look forward, we've seen great exports here on beans. We had more sales today to China and to unknown. So we are consistently seeing these sales being made. Yes, the inspection numbers for beans might not be last week's numbers, but they're still pretty good. And so we need to see this for corn and for wheat in order to really generate any momentum like we're getting out of the beans at this point. So it does mean that we're okay. We are seeing bigger sales for beans, and that should be pretty consistent here right now. But that's been the talk of today. Can we get above 980, though, and get above that 200-day moving average for November beans? If we do, that may give us that next leg higher. But we have seen some decent demand right now for beans.
Now, from what I understand, the large commodity funds actually ended up selling about 5,000 contracts of soybeans last Friday. That's an estimate. Have you heard that too?
Yeah, and that's relatively neutral for them. That's just them kind of playing around. You know, 5,000 here or there is to you and I maybe a lot, but you know, for in the bigger picture for funds, that's not a lot. When they really start taking a position, or getting bullish or getting bearish, you see that number intensify very quickly. So it's showing that right now the attitude from the funds, it is neutral. But I think that's what USDA did when they went ahead and raised yields. It's not that everything became so bearish. It's that it's very hard to believe right now that we're going to see beans really take off when you're looking at 475 million carryout or 2.3 billion carryout for corn. What they did is kind of capped us from really getting excited to the upside. We didn't make new lows after the report. So expect to see some choppy trade here. Yes, export sales for beans look good, but we're looking for another story to really carry us a lot higher from here.
All right, let's look at the corn prices as they stand right now. And on December corn, we are currently trading at $3.51 3/4. That's down 3 cents yet on the day. On the soybeans that Steve was just talking about, November now 5 higher at $9.73 3/4. It's about almost 8 cents now off of our earlier low of the day, though. And if you look at the wheat trade in Chicago, December is now trading 4 1/4 lower at $4.44 3/4. If you look at the Kansas City wheat trade, we have December down 3 at $4.43 now. Last trade. Let's look at Minneapolis wheat, where we have the spring wheat on December down 1.5 pennies at $6.20 per bushel. And if you look at the cotton market right now, December is at 69.62 cents per pound. That would be up 55 points on the day. We'll be talking with SteveGeorgey about our livestock trade when we come back in just one moment. Interesting, with a little weaker tone in the soy oil trade, down about 16 points right now. I want to take a look at the value of the U.S. dollar and the crude oil trade, if you don't mind, and then we'll get back to our discussion with SteveGeorgey. Let's look at the dollar right now. And on the U.S. dollar index, we had kind of a quiet open here this morning, and let's take a closer look. Right now, it's still narrowly mixed. September down 20 points at 91.840, in December now 90 points higher at 91.750. And if you look at the crude oil trade on West Texas futures, a little weaker now. We have the October contract down 56 at 49.33 per barrel. November down 61. And on the heating oil side, that's how we trade our diesel fuel. We have October futures on the NYMEX down about 2.5 cents at 177.3 per gallon, just to get you updated on our energy markets here. All right, let's go back to SteveGeorgey at Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. And Steve, thanks again for joining us as we look at our live cattle and feeder cattle trade. We started out firmer. Let's go ahead and pull up the boards and see where the prices are right now. Currently on live cattle, we have October just a nickel lower at 107.70. Somebody threw a banana peel under that market. It had been about $1 higher earlier. We have December now 13 higher at 112.95 per hundredweight. On the feeder cattle side, let's go take a look. We have October now 25 higher at 150.90 and November 36 higher at 151.08 per hundredweight. That's well off its earlier high by about $1.25 or so. Steve, what happened here in the last 20 minutes?
Well, I think it's what happened here prior to that. You know, when you look at it, we had buying excitement real early because, well, we had decent cash trade against last week, but the numbers were extremely light. And so you had this excitement early on that maybe we can get it done, but it might have been a little bit overdone. And I think that's why we're still going to chop around here until we see cash trade again, but we did not trade any major volume last week. So this is the second consecutive week with lighter numbers. So are we going to see this moving forward? Can this cash stay where it is, or maybe we've done a little bit too much? And I kind of think we may get a little bit of a setback here short term unless we see cash tell us something different.
On the lean hog market right now, we currently have October still down 80 at 60.18 per hundredweight. And we have December now trading at 58.10. That is down 38 cents per hundredweight. And February down 25 at 63.85. So again, the nearby is leading the charge to the downside. Technically, that would be a bearish signal on the charts. Steve, as always, great to have you with us. Come back anytime, all right?
You betcha. Thank you very much.
SteveGeorgey, great market analyst from Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. Love talking to those folks.
Absolutely. We have a lot of our analysts from Allendale. Okay, thank you.
Stuff.
Markets editor Marlon Bowling. Well, this week is National Farm Safety Week, and the new documentary Silo: Edge of the Real World shares the story of a grain entrapment in a Midwest community and the risks and rewards of a farmer's life. Let's take a look.
You put in all the sweat and tears, you get them in the ground, they grow. In a sense, like your own kid. The farm where it's at now, to get to this size, it took 5 generations. To know all the work and sweat and blood that went into this place. More than just a farm. It's just home.
Wow, looks good, doesn't it? Joining us now in studio is Silo: Edge of the Real World director, Marshall Burnett. Thanks so much for joining us, Marshall.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're happy to have you. We're celebrating farm safety this week, as you know. What prompted you to make this film?
This actually started with a late-night NPR piece. I was working on another project, and it was maybe a 10-minute segment that told the story of a grain entrapment in Illinois in 2010, where 2 teenage boys lost their life. And they were able to save one. And I had driven by these things, my entire life, as so many people have.
Yeah.
And I never realized the dangers. I never really knew how they worked, even. And it was scary, and it was inspiring. The story of the rescue efforts and the work people put in. So I started doing research, and it seemed very cinematic to me, and a powerful story about people coming together and community and hard work that doesn't get recognized.
Absolutely. It's a really dangerous field to go into, farming, and a lot of people are carrying this through generation to generation. Their kids are getting involved in the same practice. Where was this documentary filmed, and why did you decide to go with this location?
Yeah, we shot it in Rising Sun, Indiana. And it was actually because it was a connection that my wife had with a friend of hers that she worked with that said, hey, I know this great young farmer. He's about your age. Him and his dad run this operation, and there's only a few of them, but it's real big, and you should talk to him. So I met him. His name was Adam Fox, and they welcomed us onto their town and their farm and taught us everything, and we spent a few days there, and that's where we met Clay, the 18-year-old in the film, and it was great. The next largest town is Aurora, which has the closest grain tube, which is the rescue device they'll use if somebody gets trapped in one of these events.
What do you want people to take away from your film after watching it?
There's a couple things. A big purpose for me making it was to raise awareness to people that drive right through, ag towns and don't really think anything of it. I want people to realize how dangerous these things can be and how many people work around this stuff. And then the other thing also is so many people that do this work don't even know.
Yeah.
The wife of Adam, the young farmer in it, she told us that until we had made this film that she wasn't aware of the dangers.
And she lives it every day.
Yeah, exactly. So now we kind of scared her, but
hey, scared into making smart decisions may not be such a bad thing. Now,
that's great.
People have an opportunity to see your film. Let's give that website out so people can actually check out your work and maybe be reminded of the importance of safety.
Yeah, you can go to silothefilm.com. And right now, this is a short documentary that we made to promote a much larger film. So next year, we hope to make a 2-hour feature film, and you can go to that website to learn all about grain entrapment and follow the project as it develops.
Okay, well, really looking forward to watching the film in its entirety, and for everybody else, we definitely recommend you check it out as well. Silo Edge of the Real World director, Marshall Burnett, thanks so much for joining us. And stay with us, much more to come. We're gonna keep talking about farm safety. It's Farm Safety Week, and we'll have all your ag news headlines right after this.